Uncle Yunus was the eldest among his 4 siblings. He had studied up to matriculation, while the rest of his siblings were illiterate. The villagers respected him and called him Chaudhry, due to his influence in the area. He had a close friendship with the local Nazim. After their father passed away, Uncle Yunus, with the help of a Patwari and Tehsildar, transferred their father's 40-acre agricultural land solely under his name. When the other siblings found out, they demanded their rightful shares, but Uncle Yunus refused and claimed, "Father transferred the land to me before his death." The siblings brought community elders to mediate. They advised Uncle Yunus to share the land, reminding him of fairness and divine accountability, but he remained adamant. Disheartened, the siblings turned to the court, but his influence helped him win the legal battle, leaving him the sole owner of the land. Uncle Yunus had one son, Harris, who was pursuing education in the city. He hired a manager, Liaquat, to oversee the farm, which generated significant income. Out of the 40 acres, 2 acres were uncultivated due to a grave present there. Villagers believed the grave was home to a pious soul or supernatural beings, which they credited for Chaudhry Yunus' unusually high crop yield. Life is a test of patience and gratitude, but greed clouds judgment. Driven by greed, Uncle Yunus decided to cultivate the uncultivated land, aiming to increase income. When he shared his plan with Liaquat, the manager supported it. However, when work began, the elders of the village intervened, warning him not to disturb the grave, fearing supernatural retaliation. Yielding to their advice, he stopped the work. That night, a supernatural entity appeared to Uncle Yunus, warning him of dire consequences if the land was disturbed. Frightened, he recounted the incident to Liaquat the next morning and abandoned his plan. Years passed, and Uncle Yunus suffered a stroke, becoming bedridden. Harris returned to the village, leaving his studies to manage the land. Like his father, he decided to cultivate the uncultivated land, despite his father's warnings and the supernatural incident. Disregarding all advice, he began clearing the land with tractors. Suddenly, a dark storm arose, engulfing the village in dust and darkness. The grave exploded with a loud blast, throwing the tractors and workers away. Fearsome voices echoed, vowing vengeance. Harris was lifted into the air and dropped violently, leaving him injured. Only when the village muezzin began the call to prayer did the chaos subside. The villagers gathered at the mosque, appealing to the imam for prayers. Soon, an elder figure in white appeared, revealing himself as a member of the supernatural beings living in the grave. He condemned Uncle Yunus and Harris for their greed and injustice, citing their betrayal of family and sacred land. He declared that they would only be forgiven if the rightful land shares were returned to the siblings, and the grave remained undisturbed. Shaken by these events, the villagers collected alms and distributed them near the grave to appease the supernatural beings. Uncle Yunus summoned his siblings, returned their shares of the land, and sought their forgiveness. Gradually, peace returned to the village, but Uncle Yunus's health deteriorated further. The community elders advised him to seek forgiveness from his siblings and God. Upon doing so, another offering was made at the grave. This time, a bright light filled the area, and the imam announced that the supernatural beings had forgiven Uncle Yunus. Harris took his father to a hospital, where he recovered fully after a month. Uncle Yunus returned to the village as a changed man, having learned the importance of justice, humility, and gratitude.